day, I went out my patio door, descended my stairs, and looked upon my patchwork quilt of lawn with some areas dark green and going to seed while others are yellow, clinging to life, a marker of our summer and inconsistent rain. The neighbors behind us are playing cornhole. The neighbors on either side are putzing in their yards and gardens. And how much I would love to stand in the middle of my yard and shout, "Listen, a sower went out to sow." And as she sowed, some seeds fell in the garden, and the dreaded rabbits came and ate them. Other seeds fell in another garden where the pH varied slightly, and they sprang up quickly, but when the sun rose, they were scorched. And since they were not established, they withered away. Other seeds fell among thistles, and the thistles grew up and choked out my raspberries. And other seeds fell on good soil and brought forth peas and beans and tomatoes, some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. If you have ears, hear. It is a gardener's constant plight and delight. What grows well and where? Is there enough sun or shade? Does this plant need more or less water? If you have ears, hear. Because I love to play in the dirt and see what grows where, for this season of opportunity, I can hear the parable from Jesus a bit differently this time around. We know that there are different kinds of soils. Jesus indicates that there are 4 kinds in this parable. And regardless of the soil, things can grow. Perhaps it's not exactly what we had in mind for growth, but it is a recognition of what can and cannot. Libby Howe, in her commentary on this text, writes, quote, "I appreciate how the 4 soils or the 4 responses normalize not just differences among people, but the ways that different teaching may be received or not by one individual. It is possible for a person to be all 4 different soils at various times." She continues to say, quote, "Jesus points to the truth that the way we hear and receive the Word of God is impacted by more than our own will and desire. There will always be circumstances beyond our control that keep us from being the good soil we hope to be. This reminds us to be cautious with our moralizing and judgment against others and ourselves." End quote. There is a lot we can do to attempt at being nutrient-rich soil. In our upcoming congregational chat in just a few minutes, we will hear our efforts on our 4 mission priorities: community outreach, faith formation and spiritual life, children, youth, and young adults, and seniors, and how these mission priorities will be the overall driver of our mission and vision, and how then that drives our budget. A vision, by the way, that says that we hope to live out Jesus' commandment to love thy neighbor by serving as a community catalyst, connector, and convener, and by creating a space to serve as a prophetic witness. We can make all these attempts to connect, convene, and witness, and we know, much like Jesus, that individual efforts as well as congregational efforts succumb to greater forces at work. COVID-19 taught us that. Libby Howe alludes to the notion that our culture is steeped in the myth of the individual's responsibility to shape their destiny. As a congregation, and as individuals making up this community that gathers, we need to keep reminding each other that this parable is an example of Jesus' acknowledgement of forces beyond our control that impact us. Recognizing that these forces exist may seem a bit obvious. However, it certainly helps us lean into moments of relief and grace so that we do not feel the need to anticipate everything for every single person that comes to our doors with certain needs and wants. Acknowledging that there are different soils reminds us that we can adapt, that we can respond, that we can even be proactive with how we fertilize. We always must be checking the pH, checking the moisture content, and seeing how things grow. We know that we hear things differently at different times in our lives. We know that life is full of twists and turns. And if the church becomes so set in its ways that it is unable to move with the ebb and flow of people being people, then it goes in complete contrast to Jesus' message of the sower. As we continue to adapt and evolve, growth is measured in different ways. How many people are checking out our website? How many people are reading our e-news? How many people like us on Facebook? How many people are hearing about us? And how many people have you told about us? How many people know that there is an open and affirming congregation here on the east side of St. Paul? We may never know that there are people down the street that claim us as their congregation and have not stepped foot in this place for years. Our impact is real, and sometimes it is hard to measure. We just need to make sure that as we continue to do this work, that we are taking the time to check and measure our nutrient values so that we can continue to be generous and supportive, open and affirming, welcoming and inclusive. How we go about sharing these values sometimes means that we need to throw the seeds up and yell at the top of our lungs, "Listen, a sower went to sow." Or as Barbara Brown Taylor said, "One thing is for sure," she writes, "some sower was here ahead of me. There is more life hidden in this rich earth than I could have asked for or imagined. All I had to do was bend down and look." End quote. So may we keep looking. May we keep sowing. May we keep observing, and may we keep nurturing. And being open to all this, I am certain we will have quite the yield. May it be so. Amen.